Hello, good evening, and welcome back. Good news, post-Brexit plans unveiled for 10 free ports. And you might be wondering, to begin with, well, surely though they're going to be avoiding tax, how is that a good thing? Well, if you think about the amount of companies that would then want to do business inside these areas, they'd of course then be employing more people, and you'd have more people walking around in order to feed and house the people that are working there. And that's basically how cities spring up and how urban areas develop, and that's how wealth is generated. So it's the same thing for decreasing tax, particularly income tax, and why flat tax is good as well, because then you're encouraging that many people to set up within your area, within your country ideally, and then you're growing the economy and helping out everybody involved. So the government plans to create up to 10 free ports across the UK after Brexit. And what I like about this is that it isn't a London-focused government, but they are thinking, well, why can't we do things for the entire country? As said, Boris Johnson believes they could create jobs in left-behind areas. Labour said the move involved no new investment and could attract money launderers and tax dodgers. Fantastic. No new investment, so there's no cost at all. Could attract money launderers and tax dodgers. Well, if the companies then get that recognition of being known as being tax dodgers and money launderers, or what they say, because they're not bringing in customs officials, that they could be opening things up, changing the contents, and then shipping it out, then that company would be known as somebody to not do business with, and they would quickly fold, and it wouldn't be an issue. We see Procter & Gamble there, Gillette, they lost $5.4 billion US because they're getting a bad reputation for themselves from their Gillette adverts, and therefore their stock is losing a substantial amount of value. So the same thing would be done here as the market course corrections, essentially. So they say freedoms transformed London's docklands in the 1980s, and free ports will do the same for town cities across the UK. That's from International Trade Secretary Liz Truss. Mr Johnson backed the integrated free ports as Tory leadership candidates, joining there will be about 6 around the country. They say this means raw materials can be imported, engineered into whole products for export. Fantastic. We're normally a tertiary economy, but at the very least we're secondary, as we've moved off from primary, which means we're not mining for the raw materials ourselves anymore. We're getting other people to do it cheaper, because we have the know-how and the skills in order to create something worthwhile that they would like to have. So we say around 135 countries, mostly in the Far East, all the quickest developing countries, funny that, have free trade zones. 2013 US Congressional report estimated there are about 3,500 worldwide. UK had 7 between 1994 and 2012, and then the legislation establishing them was not renewed. So the places included, which are in London, we have Liverpool, Southampton, the Port of Tilbury, the Port of Sheerness, and Prestwick Airport, which is nice. It's not so much, just England that he's saying, yeah, we are the United Kingdom, we're going to help everybody. It's energize. It's nice to have somebody who's that optimistic and forward-thinking. So the supporters are saying it's the right course after Brexit. So Eamon Butler from Free Market think tank, the Adam Smith Institute, and a member of the new panel said the zones would set the UK on the right course after Brexit. He said they provide a safe harbour for trade in turbulent times and show that high-tech hubs of enterprise, low taxes, deregulation and trade without restriction can rebalance the economy, which is great, and also it's the right thing because the EU does not encourage them, arguing it creates unfair competition between firms operating within them and those adhering to normal EU rules, which just shows that they're adding red tape unnecessarily. There are far too many laws passed for the EU and for the UK since Tony Blair, going from 100 a year to thousands a year, and unfortunately nobody since then has decided to ease up much, and nobody seems to want to shrink the government either since Thatcher. But in a report earlier this month, the European Commission said free ports pose a risk as regards to counterfeiting. Yeah, gone over that, and why it's irrelevant doesn't matter. Responding to the government's announcement, Shadow International Trade Secretary Barry Gardiner said the planned UK zones did not constitute new investment. Perfect. That means there's no cost to the taxpayer. So no reason for tax hikes. Keep that in mind. It is a race to the bottom that will have money launderers, tax dodgers rubbing their hands with glee. Explained why that's not the case. Free ports and free enterprise zones risk companies shutting up shop in one part of the country in order to exploit tax breaks elsewhere, and worst of all, lower employment rights. He said, well, again, if you're not treating your employees correctly, then they get to move away, especially considering the amount of people leaving the UK in order to go back to their own countries or where they're from originally. that then creates a smaller labour market, in which case the there's a smaller supply of employees, but just as much demand. And seeing as you're creating the jobs and opportunities here, there's going to be an even higher case of demand, which gives employees more rights or more opportunities in order to decide what they want. It's the same as if you're good in the company you're working for, they're not treating you properly, then say, hey, I'm going to go somewhere else because they will treat me right unless you pay me more and do have a place in mind that you want to go to, and then you will most likely get paid more. Otherwise, you will go to a better place. Easy. And then the original company, if other people choose to do that, the original company will, of course, close. But as I mentioned, there will be more jobs and more money put into the economy, because not only will you have places from inside the country wanting to be there and being willing to expand because they're like, hey, this is more stable and prosperous, but also companies from outside the country will go, yes, the UK is a good place to set up as it's that close to the EU, therefore our transport costs will be lower. And we'll also save money from the tax issues. Cool, we'll set up there, employ the people because it's cheaper to pay them than to set up shops somewhere else. And then, as I say, the people responsible for feeding and housing these people will also get a boost in their pay packet as well. The British people did not vote for this new administration. Yes, they did. Voted Conservative, not enough, so it's joined with the DUP. The Conservative Party elects their leader. So yes, the British people did. And then certainly did not vote to see their jobs and livelihoods threatened in favour of gifting further tax breaks to big companies and their bosses. Sure, they're not though, so that's irrelevant. But anyway, let me know what you guys think if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm concerned, this is a great story. So like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I will see you next time.